Okay, on the 3-view block practice, after I've squared up and taped down my green paper, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to measure 1/2 inch all the way around the paper, measure in 1/2 inch, and I'm going to construct a border. I'm going to draw a border. Double check your measurements, 1/2 inch all the way around. Remember from earlier lessons, we draw horizontal lines with the T-square. Remember, your border lines need to be nice, dark, clean, crisp lines. And then I'm going to draw my vertical lines using T-square and one of my angles. I prefer the 60-30 angle because it's a little bit longer and easier to make those lines. And then I'll just go back in using my eraser shield and my white eraser, and I'll clean up my corners and make it look nice and clean. Next step is to build the title block. I'm going to measure up from the bottom border line 1, 2, 3, 4, 5/8 of an inch. But I'm going to go ahead and mark the lines off for my lettering as well. And remember, drafting quality lettering is set on 1/8 of an inch lines. 1, 2, 3, 4, and that'll give me my layout for those lines. Use my T-square, draw the top of the title block nice and crisp, and I'm going to come in from each side, lay it out anywhere you want. I'm going to lay out a line marked 3.5 inches from the left side. I'm going to make a mark 3.5 inches from the right side. That way I can divide my title block with 2 small vertical lines. Divide my title block into 3 pieces. Then I'll go back with more vertical lines. What I'm going to do is line up on this first mark that I made, and I'm going to draw guidelines for my lettering. Remember, your guidelines are supposed to be nice and light. I'm going to do lines. I'm going to skip the middle block on the first one. Second, I'll draw the line lightly all the way across so I have a place for my title. Third one, I'll skip the middle one more time because I want my title block to be just my middle block on the title block to be a little bit larger. And then the bottom one I'll draw nice and light. Remember, when you fill out your title block, I want you to do the full lettering, name, then your last name, comma, first initial, the date, and I'll just let you fill in the date. My date today is February the 18th, 09. On this side, I'm going to put scale, and the scale on this block drawing is full. Won't be on all drawings, but on this drawing it's full. And then the course is drafting. Remember, nice, clean, quality, drafting quality lettering. And then on the middle, we're going to put 3 view block practice. And remember, we wanted it nice and big. Okay, to start the block, the very first thing that we're going to do, what we're going to do is we're going to make a multi-view drawing of this block. We're going to draw it from the front, from the right side, and from the top view. We're going to lay this three-dimensional block out in 3 separate one-dimensional drawings. First thing that I'm going to do is I have to set up my paper to begin my drawing. For this one, I'm going to measure in 1 inch and up 1 inch from the far left-hand border and from the bottom border, which is now the top of my title block. So I'm measuring up an inch, over an inch, I'm sorry, and up an inch. And I'm going to use my T-square. And I'm going to draw a light, ultra light, horizontal line, border to border. I'm going to draw another light line, vertically, border to border. That gives us our starting point, which I'll mark with a small x here. You don't need to do that with your drawing, but you can mark it, but I marked it with a small x. Okay, again, I'm going to take my blocks, and since I'm drawing this block to full scale, I'll measure it. This block is 3 1/4 inches wide. So what I'll do from this starting point, I'll lay out 3 1/4 there, and I will draw a light vertical line there. I've got the width of my block now from the front view and the top view all the way up the paper. Okay, the next thing that I'll do is I'll measure the height of my block. This block is 3 inches high. So what I'll do, I'll come from this starting point again, and I'll measure up 3 inches, make a small mark, and I'll draw a horizontal line from that line all the way across the page. Remember to keep them nice light guidelines. Okay, now I have the front view of my block completed. The next step is remembering back from the D1, 2, 3, and 4 plates, there's always a space between the front view and the top and right side view. You can use whatever dimension best fits your paper, but I'm going to use a 1/2 inch. If it's a 1/2 inch from the front to the right side view, it needs to be 1/2 inch from the front to the top view. So I'm going to make those 2 marks, and I'm going to go ahead and draw those lines in, again lightly, here, and horizontal line here. Okay, we're almost there. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to measure the width of my block. My block measures 1 3/8 inch. 1 3/8 of an inch. So, from the right side, I'm going to lay out that measurement, 1 2 3/8 of an inch. There it is on the ruler. 1 2 3/8 of an inch. That's the spot you're laying out to. And if you look at this block from the right side, has to be the same width from the right and the top. So we'll go ahead and lay that measurement out for our top view as well. 1 2 3/8. So we have 1 3/8. And I'll go ahead and draw in those lines. So for my top view, I'll draw a light line all the way across, and I will draw my vertical line all the way up. Okay, the next thing that I have to do is I have to go in, since I have the outline of my block from front, I'm going to make some small marks here, front, right side, and top. I'll go ahead and I'll darken those in. I'll darken the bottoms first. I'll do the Just go ahead and catch all of my horizontal lines here. I'll slide my T-square back down. I'll use my angle, and I'll get all of my vertical lines. Oops, looks like I made a slight mistake there. I'll draw that line down. And that line down. I darkened one line I shouldn't have. Good thing about that is if you make a mistake, all you have to do is use your eraser, go back and clean that up. Use your brush, don't use your finger like I did. Okay, so we have the front, top, right side. I'm going to go ahead and erase these. I just put those in to let you know what the views were. So now, if you look at our block, we have a front, a right side, and a top. And all we have to do with this block now is lay out the details. We'll start off with laying out the center for the circle. On a typical drawing, you would have to measure for the center of the circle, but I know on this block, I built it where the circle is in the exact center of the block. So all I have to do is just using one of my angles, freehand, corner to corner, I'm just going to lay out a light guideline here, and a light guideline here, and then I have the center point where I'll draw the circle with my compass later on to lay out the